Hi there. Welcome to a special Equinox message. This is going to be take two. I will try and keep it a little more succinct and to the point and get to the message and go over some dates and significant happenings. And yeah, there's just this strong message that wants to come through. And so, first of all, we'll just start with the spring equinox. The vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere is actually happening early this year on March 19th. That's going to be a Tuesday, which surprised me that it's come early this year. Normally it falls around the 21st, 22nd. And so that's why I wanted to do a video in honor and acknowledgement of it. And, you know, to honor it and or to remind you to honor to do something for it, even just acknowledging it. But you could have a fire, do a burning, take a cleansing bath, do a special yoga practice, anything ritualistic that honors equality for you. And I feel like it's worth mentioning because it's the changing of the seasons, and as a human and going through these different shifts in the seasons, it brings about a whole different set of elements, and it brings a set of changes, and it's just good to acknowledge. It's good to acknowledge that, I feel, to my heart. And it's not easy. It's not easy being human. Sometimes the change of the seasons can be really hard on us. Spring happens to be the time of new life, new beginnings, fresh smell of like fresh, like the air just smells so beautiful. And it's like when the little sprouts are starting to come up and the birds are starting to sing. It can be quite a lovely time of year. Just like a brand new day, the new spring is dawning. And it's really when the new year starts. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and that's really the new beginning, the new initiation, something brand new, going into the unknown, the new life. And then we're coming off of Pisces season, swimming in this Pisces soup, as I like to call it, where we're more sensitive and the lines are blurred and things are closing out, and it's just very dreamy and murky and sleepy and potentially it's not a ultimate. It's just a way to point to things. We set these New Year's intentions on January 1st because it's just these a new Roman calendar year, but really that's the dead of winter. It doesn't really make sense if you're looking at it being connected to the earth and the cycles of the earth. And so in order to honor the cycles of the earth, it just I just wanted to acknowledge this moment in time where there is equal day and equal night. And not only is there equal day and equal night, it's this idea of the in between, this in between space. So I've heard some people say that March is like this in between month, or that we're all in this liminal space. Like we're not quite sure what the next steps are. We're not quite sure what's to come. And there's an unknown element in that can bring up a lot of uncertainty and fear. And it also feels like there's been a lot of fear up in the collective, whether that's just instinctual, that's also the Aries energy that's we're about to be in a lot of, or kind of stirred up by media, just, playing on our emotions. And I know last year there was like a lot of talk about, something big happening, and then like nothing really happened. So I wanted to speak to that. That was part of the message that wanted to come through is, and I talked about this a little bit in my last, the new moon in Pisces video, is that, you know, if fear is coming up, it's important to acknowledge it and check in with it and see if it's, you know, I don't want to say legitimate because all your feelings are legitimate, but there is a difference between old unprocessed emotions ruling the moment or just getting kicked up, and then our need for control kicks up and that just turns into a mess. You know, in the last video I talked about acknowledging it and honoring it and treating it like a child that just needs a voice and acknowledged. But in this video, as I talk about all the dates to come, you know, there is we're entering eclipse season, and that can bring about quite a bit of intense energies, you know, like and change. And part of that change is just the changing of the seasons with the, you know, we're coming into a new quadrant of, if the circle is divided into 4, we're coming into a brand new quadrant. So it's, on the one hand, it's natural to have some fear, and then on the other hand, it's how do I say this? It's not that it is unnecessary, but the sensationalism of it can be a distraction from just going within and being with and inside your body and listening to it for clues about what to do next. So I'll say a little bit more about that in just a second, but I want to get back to this idea of equal day and equal night and this day in time. Even if you're listening to this afterwards, you can, you know, like maybe take a breath and straighten your spine a little bit, whatever you're doing, and then just feel into your right side of your body. And then just feel into the left side of your body. No judgments. You can keep, you know, you can notice, but don't need to judge. And then the space in between where they meet, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's special and worth acknowledging. And that's where we might be right now, or at the time I'm recording this. And it's also, you know, like the space where your upper lip and your lower lip meets, or your eyelashes, where your top eyelash and your lower eyelash meets. That thin space, just bringing some attention to that. And it's just like this day, it's worth bringing some attention to. So just the acknowledgement and the, I don't know, some sort of, I guess it's the, like, just love for the earth and being a part of this earth, and then, you know, coming into the body and getting less out of the mind, right? So the mind's trying to always protect us, and it's always in the future or the past. So this idea of coming into the body, and if there is fear in the body, breathing into, working with, and acknowledging that where it is, instead of just letting the mind run wild. So I recently listened to a talk with Swamiji, and someone had brought up he was in an interview and someone had questioned him saying, they feel all this intense fear around what's about to transpire. I feel like there's a lot of that in the US. And it could be warranted. It might be unwarranted, but the question was, around like, what should I do to prepare? What do I do with it? Or what, like, the person asking the question was almost like seeking some sort of like, things are going to get crazy and you better, like, be afraid. And I feel like there is a lot of that going around. It's not everywhere, but I don't know if it's just clickbait or what that is, to like get viewers or but it really like dysregulates the nervous system and sends me personally into high anxiety. And I've done a ton of work to not be an anxious person or a fearful person. And so his answer was really beautiful because he said, and this spoke directly to my heart, and this is what the message is I wanted to pull through, was that it's regardless of what's going to happen externally, if you're attuned and at peace within yourself, you're going to know what to do and when to do it. You're going to have that intuition is going to be online and it's going to know when to flee the forest like an animal. It's just going to know with that quietness, and or there might be an acceptance. Now, an acceptance isn't like a play dead and drop dead. It's just that's a bigger concept of trusting the intelligence of how things are playing out on a bigger, grander scale that we can't see or understand. Which of course someone dearly and deeply devoted to their yogic practice internally is going to say something like that, and it's going to appeal to me because I do feel that too. Now, let's take what you like, leave the rest. It's not a one size fits all by any means. I just thought that was significant enough to share, especially in, with everything going on and just media and this fear getting kicked up. I know I already mentioned like last spring, they were like, oh, this is going to be the one. And like, it wasn't, it wasn't. I think I was sick and then life just went on. And so it's not to discount stuff, if something's resonating with you, by all means. But I really like this message of like not giving the mind too much credence and checking in with the body. So that was the main message that really wanted to come through. And then I'm just going to go over, this was the other thing. Well, should I save that? It's the idea of like what is the point of astrology or anything if it's just going to kick up dust and kick up fear. And so he was saying that don't give information or advice without a remedy. Like he says, he no longer gives readings, he only gives remedies. So that really stuck to me in a good way, in a way that I felt was really worthy of sharing. For I don't know who needs to hear it, but that was what wanted to come through for the moving forward as we shift into this brand new energy. And whether you're giving advice to anyone or yourself or anything you're confronting, right? Like the how to find the remedy becomes the question, and the quality of the consciousness is dependent on the question. So it's not how do we use how do we use dates and facts and figures to get ahead and control? It's how do we find the remedy to heal? And maybe that's just the healer in me talking, but it seemed relevant. So having said that, let's see. Let's jump back to the significance of the moon, because so the moon changes the zodiac signs every 2.5 days in Western, and for the equinox, it's going to be coming out of Cancer and freshly into Leo. However, the important thing about that is it's going to be opposing Pluto. So this deep, watery, needs nurturance, and this inner squish or sensitivity, this, the gooiness inside is sitting across the table from essentially your soul itself. So the moon can represent the subconscious, but I'd say Pluto is like the deepest of the deep, or in myth, Hades, right? So a little bit of intense energy there, and hopefully that could just be validating or help you see it. Like that's more what I want to do with the astrology. However, I am going to go over some of the Western dates of what's happening. But I've also, like I was mentioning, have been learning a little bit about Vedic astrology. And the moon goes into a nakshatra each day. So for the 27 days, the moon has its own placement and energies, and it's really mystifying and fascinating, and I look forward to sharing more about that. Like, I'm really intrigued, and it's sort of making me demystified with Western, but again, we can merge the two, right? So the other thing with the equal day, equal night, the right sphere of the hemisphere of the brain and the left, and what is the space in between. Like, I'm just fascinated with this space in between, if you can't tell, and like the meeting point. So with Libra, everyone talks about balance and the scales balancing, but I'm thinking about if you were to take your right hand and your left hand and put them together, and where they touch like that, there's something sacred there. So there's something sacred to this day. So let's just go over the dates, and then I'll spare you the ramblings of the moon. But I do feel like, even though I have been studying evolutionary astrology since 2015, for reasons I could talk all day about, I also just feel that the moon matters the most, because it pulls on the tides of the ocean, it pulls on our tides, it's the closest thing, it's constantly in flux, it's constantly changing, it's that's like what it is to be human. This is just a constant change, which is also what this equinox is about. And it's reflective. It's reflecting back the light of the sun. But the sun can be so it's nourishing, it's vitality, it's everyone, there's a reason the sun is worshipped, and yet, I don't know, the moon just speaks to me. There's a mystery to the moon that there is in life, and there's that acknowledgement of the mystery. And so learning about the nakshatras has been really bringing that alive for me. And I feel like I'm just taking a step back from astrology in general, and maybe getting into like a deeper something more mystical, and that also goes with grief, but that's a whole nother story. Maybe some foreshadowing. But just for dates, I'll post them on the screen. Is so March 19th, spring comes early, which where I live, the groundhog didn't see his shadow. So I was like, oh, spring is coming early. So that's like a little interesting synchronicity. Synchronicities have been up a lot too. That's going to happen around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern, if you're on this side of the world. And so from there, there's about a week. The full moon in Libra is going to be on Monday, March 25th. Now, it's going to be a lunar eclipse, so it's going to start around like 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, peak around 12 a.m., and then it's not going to be complete until 2 in the morning. And then, so it's going to be happening while we're sleeping in between the 24th and the 25th. And that's called the full worm moon, like spring. Think of the little worms digging in the dirt. And with that, I just want to give some love to the little crawlies that allow the plants to grow. And for that moon, Libra is the balance and the equality I was just talking about. But it's at the early degrees of Libra, so it's, it's what makes it the lunar eclipse is that it's on the way the ecliptic falls. It's going to be going over the south node, but not quite at the south node. So you might hear a lot of people saying like karma's going to be up, or relationships are might be really intense, and it might be. I want to look at this as it's going to shine a light on what really just doesn't work for you anymore, that just needs some attention, or like pulling up some weeds for whatever this new beginning that wants to come in. That's maybe a gentle way of looking at it. That's, in my Pisces new moon video, I talked about this needing to bring gentleness to everything right now. And yeah, that just the acknowledgement on the equinox can help bring in some of that. Just find your center as that light gets shown. That's the first eclipse, so that kicks off eclipse season. So closing out the last 6 months, going into a brand new 6-month period can be endings, major endings. But it can also not. It could already have started. It could be starting after this. I mean, it's not an exact science. So again, be paying attention to your inner authority. I'm probably going to start saying that more and more. Let's see if there's anything else that... hopefully I'll do a card pull for that. I still want to do a special nidra. I just need to make sure I have the right quiet. But yeah, for the full moon coming up, I just see this glowing moon, and the little worms are digging around. That's the other thing. So with spring starts this, the sun goes into Aries. So there's this, Aries is a fire sign. So transformative energy and going, it's new initiations, new beginnings, that kind of afraid feeling, when you start something new. And it's going to be opposing the moon on the south node. So that will set the stage for this shining the light on maybe like what you have already resolved, or you're resolving within, or needs resolved. And then Mars is the ruler of Aries and the North Node, where the North Node is right now. But right then, Mars is at like 2 degrees into Pisces. So it's actually nearing Saturn, and it is, Mars is fire and can be known as the warrior, and this, act now, think later. But it's swimming in the water, so it's softened. So some of that Aries energy is going to be softened by that. And then I don't know why I really feel this need to bring this softness to stuff. I've just heard so many people talk about this fear and just amping up this fear. And so when I looked at the chart, I kind of was like, yeah, but Mars is in Pisces, so Mars is actually trying to also bring something to an end that's ready to end as it nears Saturn. So Saturn's at 12 degrees, so it's going to be slowly going, and it's going to get there by the solar eclipse, which I'm getting to. But the next event that will happen will be like about a week later. April 1st, Happy Fool's Day, is going to be on a Monday, and Mercury is going to have also gone almost all the way through Aries, land at 27 degrees, and then it is going to back up. That's the day it's going to go retrograde. So, and its shadow phase is going to start on the equinox. But I also don't feel like, that's going to be a fun April Fool's Day. Have fun that Monday. Like, don't plan any big, technological happenings that day. But, Mercury rules technology in Gemini, and yeah, things can go haywire and communication can go haywire. But I also feel like, half the population was born during a Mercury retrograde, so they work just fine during it. And the other half, it's like you just get to go inward mentally. You get to stop focusing outward and kind of turn inward. So I feel like that's another softening. So whatever messages, whatever new beginnings have been like whispering in your ear that really want to start all of March, now you kind of get to sit with it and play with it and think on it and reflect on it, and for the next 3 weeks or so. So for a lot of April. So there's that. This is the whole one thing leads to the next, leads to the next. And then the solar eclipse, which is going to be on like about another week later on April 8th. Is that another... Monday is also the moon day. So yeah, it's going to be another... I like that. The full moon is going to be on the 25th, and then the new moon's going to be on April 8th. So the moon's going to be in its, Sunday's the day of the sun, Monday's the day of the moon. It keeps going. So it's at home there, and that feels nourishing to me, very nourishing. But there is a lot going on that day that's worth mentioning. Let me see here. I'm just going to pull it up so I'm not trying to do it from memory. I know I've heard a lot of people just be like, it's going to be nuts. And that doesn't work for me. But but when I look at it, I kind of get it, because that's when Mars will have caught up to Saturn. It'll be a degree behind. So Mars is closing something out, and Mars Saturn is going to be slowing things down and a little bit a sobering energy. And also a conversation about what what is no longer going to be carried forward. And then Mars is going to go into a new cycle, leave Saturn, but it's still in Pisces for another few weeks. So we're kind of like, April just seems like murky to me. It doesn't seem super charged. And then Mars is going to near Neptune. So Mars is about to have like some big conversations with reality and the vastness of reality and all that is. And then when Mars gets to Aries, when is that? Let's see if I can figure that out. Yeah, that's the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction's happening April 20th. That's kind of a big deal, big Jupiter energy, big Uranus and Taurus, I think maybe that's the earthquake, the tremblings of the beginnings of the earthquake people are feeling and talking about. But again, why this message is important is like, if you feel a tremble, you'll know what to do. You don't be looking externally, be looking internally. But it looks like not till the end. So April 30th, it's at 0 degrees Aries. So that's really when, and then Mercury is going to be out of its retrograde period. So I feel like the start of May is going to be much more the new beginnings, because Mars will have made it there, and then Jupiter is going to have passed Uranus. So whatever has happened, whatever dialogue happened there between the guru and the liberator, we're going to be moving forward within a real earth way in Taurus. So again, Taurus, the body. And I don't know, I really wanted to bring forth this message of not being afraid. Even if there is something to be afraid, it's like when it happens, you just deal with it. And if you're at peace and alert and attuned within, you'll respond so much better than if you're like panicked, not breathing, or reacting instead of responding. So that was the message that really wanted to come through. I'm about to wrap up here just with hopefully I'll get to do card pulls for these. I've really been loving that. I've been doing lots of Akashic reads too, and some animal healing stuff. We'll see what I end up where I end up going with this. I don't know. I'm also in this unknown liminal space. But this message really, really wanted to come through. So let's go back to, it's like I almost don't even like looking this far ahead, right? Like April 8th, like the only moment we really have is right now. And how we respond in this moment is the only control we really have. So everything else is just kind of, I don't know, food for thought, illusion, entertainment. I don't know, trying to get one up on the universe, which, like I was saying before, Alan Watts said, like you are the universe, so you can't one up yourself. Yeah, I'm clearly never going to be popular, but that's okay. Making my peace within. I feel like peace within and offering, what you have to offer, if the intentions are good, is what matters. And I told myself this message was going to be more to the point, and it's longer than the last message, but I feel like the content is higher quality and less just the last one. I was working out my conflicts between Vedic and Western, and nobody needed to hear that. So if you did hear that, whatever. But so let's see. Yeah, the the new moon eclipse on April 8th is, the moon and the sun together in this brand new beginning, new phase, new phasal energy. It's also near the North Node, which is like our North Star. So what's our internal direction? But Chiron's there too, so the wounded healer. So the wounds. So I kind of see where people are saying like that's going to be, like there's a lot of activated energy there between the, the direction you want to take on the day-to-day, your internal feels, what's hurting, this inner reflective process. Mercury's in retrograde. And sorry, I got lost there. I need to just check something really quick here. Oh, it looked like Mercury was in Taurus, but it was just an illusion. It's yeah. Mercury's also there in the process, so I still just get this like the remedy for that is going to be all this Aries energy is just going to be that listening and the being mindful to respond instead of react as much as you can. As easy it is to say and as hard as it is to practice, something's going on where Mars is closing something out with Saturn. So what is that for you internally? If Saturn is going to be your day-to-day structure of things, how you go about your day-to-day, what's coming to, what needs to end there to start this new beginning, and to start a new beginning that's going to like serve a higher octave of not only yourself but everyone around you. And even though Aries is the like me, it's less of the me, and it's more that it just needs freedom to explore. So maybe take that Monday off, and I don't know, I just invite you to be asking yourself where you need freedoms, to be listening to that, and like not just surface external freedoms, like where does your soul need freedom, and then my ear just popped, and then the where is oh, it like almost hurt, it popped so loud, and then where you've been wounded, like where can you bring something to the table to offer that up to the collective in a way where it's not just you licking your wounds, it's something you can give back. For me, Chiron, it's my voice. I have a wounded fifth house Chiron, so like for me to like speak up like this is pretty scary, but I don't think anyone's listening anyways, so if you're out there, I sometimes feel like I'm transmitting from the moon, but feeling called. So, and then just this reflective process with Mercury, just going to be reflective. And then, I love in myth that Mercury is the one that can go between the lower, middle, and upper world. So it's also traversing that territory of where's your new day? Where's your new dawn? In the last message I said, dream a new dream. And let yourself dream a new dream. And there's this concept of awareness, acceptance, and then action. Never take action before you have awareness and acceptance. So with that, I'm going to close, and I appreciate your time. Let me know if anything resonated, and happy next cycle.